Every market cycles are the same. They've got periods of accumulation, markups, distributions, and markdowns, and the cycle repeats. And silver is no exception, other than it's a little more volatile, and this can really test the patience of those who are or who may be getting into stacking. So let's explain what you should do and how you can navigate any market cycles to stay sane. So let's go. Want to win 100 ounces of American Silver Eagles completely free? Well, in case you missed out on the first opportunity, JM Bullion is now giving you a second chance to win 5 full tubes of 100 coins packed in a custom waterproof Pelican case. There is no purchase necessary, and the newest and latest giveaway is going to end on December 11th of this year. And if you want to get in on this last opportunity, click the link in the description below for a chance to win. And again, just to be clear, JM Bullion is not sponsoring this channel in any sort of way. This is just me wanting to pass this opportunity along to help you guys out. So don't miss out on this. Click on the link in the description to enter for your chance to win 100 ounces of free silver. Hi everybody, and welcome back to yet another video. So as stackers, we see precious metals as a long-term strategy, and yet despite knowing that, we get caught up sometimes with the short-term emotions and expectations of it, and it can be really frustrating at times. While typically the price shouldn't impact anything, we do like to place a value on the stack and see how it grows over time. And I'd be lying to myself if I say I didn't do that either. In fact, I even cheered on sometimes for those prices to go higher, but we also need to be careful for what we wish for, because while we do want the price in silver to rise, that also ends up restricting our ability to acquire more. And contrary to that, we want the prices to go down in some ways so that we can accumulate more, but then we also get frustrated when it doesn't hold that price increase or value long enough. So it's an interesting psychological game most of the time, but I would like to point out that last part about how it doesn't hold up long enough to justify the savings. I can see the point people make with it, and if you had bought silver for $50 in 1980, you may as well have held it in fiat in some cases, because if you were to buy and sell literally over that 45-year period, you'd just be flat nominally. And we aren't seeing any adjusted prices for inflation. Just as an example, if you were to just break even from those $1980 levels, silver should be nearly $200 an ounce just to keep that store of value. And yet we don't see that. And again, this just depends on what price you enter at, but gold has done a much better job at retaining its value. And I think that's just one of the many frustrations that silver stackers have, and some of the fair criticisms that it holds from those who don't stack or who were former stackers. And every time in those market cycles, people just don't seem to care for silver until it decides to do something drastic, like break $50 an ounce. And only then do people decide to put attention to it. And those who got in on the previous 2 bull runs got burned when the prices collapsed in the following months. And that negative sentiment can get ingrained into their financial experiences, and that will cause them to believe certain things won't work. And even though earlier I said silver is a long-term focus, 45 years is kind of a long time, and perhaps we need to redefine what long-term means. Is it something that's 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever? But I'll say I don't think we can place a time limit on this, but rather we need to think of it in terms of when, not how long. And the reason is because we as stackers believe it's a matter of when the dollar will die off, not we have X amount of years. So that long-term wording should maybe be reworded as the end term instead. Now, I want to explain the differences in why silver hasn't moved nominally. Silver hasn't kept up with inflation as well like gold, because it's being pulled in 2 directions. Part of it is, again, it is a precious metal, and the other part is it's an industrial metal. And when inflation rises, gold moves as a pure safe haven, but silver price also depends on things like manufacturing demand, which goes up and down with the economy. And when you layer in years and years and years of paper market suppression, silver is just dying to play catch up. And that lag in price movement is exactly what creates its long-term upside potential, and stackers recognize that. So with that massive potential upswing we are expecting, are we going to see that right now with silver being near 50 again, closing above 50 for the first time? Well, it's hard to say, and right now We've seen a correction since hitting $54, and whether we are going back down in further price drops or we're just staying a little bit complacent for a bit before the next run up is going to be hard to tell, but it does seem to be a pattern that keeps repeating, and we start to go into these all-time highs, and then everyone who got interested gets shaken out, and it clears out the weak hands who didn't hold long enough. So there's a point I'm trying to make with all this, and that it's the patience piece. And even though 45 years is a huge ask for someone to be patient for, and perhaps I have a little bit of recency bias as I've only been stacking for 4 years now, the patience to hold through anything is what will separate stackers from traders. And I mean, take this as an example. Almost 100 years ago, if you had bought the S&P 500 back in 1929, right before the big crash, it would have taken from 1929 to 1954, which is roughly 25 years, to break even before you started making some money again. And whether silver is doing the same right now is questionable, and they're two completely different comparables, but the point I'm trying to emphasize is the patience part. And that's why they say patience is a virtue. Having the ability to have self-control, resilience, and a calm demeanor in frustrating or difficult times is what's going to allow stackers to come out ahead in the end. So despite all of the negative attention that silver tends to get, I do personally believe that holding out and being patient is what will eventually reward those who don't quit or give up on this belief. And even if silver does repeat its history of going back down to, let's say, some low price of $20 an ounce, then this could just be the next phase for people to enter while the biggest moves begin to form. And I do believe that silver will reward those who are patient. Not to say doing so will be an easy task, because something that comes easy never has value associated to it. So if you're wondering how to navigate that patience and what to do now, here's what I would do. And the best way you can tame your impatience is by developing a plan. And I've talked about this before, but you don't need a perfect plan. You just need something that's in place to determine, I will buy this much each week, each month, each year, etc. Just pick something that works for you and that is achievable, and just stick with it. If you're going to try to chase the market sentiments or anticipate what something might do, then there's a high probability that you're going to lose your money, or you're going to make the wrong decisions because you decided to use emotion over logic. And your plan should be logical and systematic, not emotionally driven. And doing so will help you build your stack properly and avoid those emotional buy and selling tendencies that you might get. And because remember, silver will reward patience, but it's not going to be easy to do. And even if your patience runs out, gold can be an option for you too. And I'm going to guess that those who are close to giving up have accumulated some amount of silver and might be thinking about cashing out. But if you want my opinion, if you're going to cash out, I'd rather you cash out into gold. At least that'll be better than ditching precious metals completely. But that's just my opinion. Either way, guys, let me know what your patience levels are right now. Are you holding through, or are you thinking about calling it quits? Let me know in the comments what you think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.